The ticket was my lifeline, a crisp piece of paper promising escape to Hawaii's golden shores, now shredded in my mother's trembling hands. My sister, smirking beside her, didn't even flinch as the pieces fluttered to the airport floor. I stood frozen, heart pounding, the hum of the terminal fading into a dull roar as betrayal sank in like a knife. This wasn't just a trip. It was my reward, my one shot at freedom after years of bending over backward for my family. I'm Emily, 30, single, and the unofficial backbone of the Carter household. My mother, Diane, 50, and my younger sister, Lily, 25, have always leaned on me, financially, emotionally, sometimes even physically when Mom's arthritis flared up or Lily's latest crisis demanded attention. I'd been saving for this Hawaii trip for 2 years, scraping every penny from my modest marketing job while covering their bills, their groceries, their endless emergencies. The trip was my line in the sand, a declaration that I deserved something for myself. They knew that. And yet, there they stood, smug and unapologetic, as my dream lay in tatters at their feet. Why? I managed, my voice barely a whisper. The airport bustled around us, oblivious to the wreckage of my plans. Mom's eyes darted away, her usual tactic when guilt hit. Lily, though, met my gaze with a defiant tilt of her chin. You were just going to leave us, Lily said, her voice sharp. You think you're too good for us now? Running off to some fancy vacation while we're stuck here. Stuck? I echoed, incredulous. I paid for your entire summer, Lily. Your rent, your car, Mom's meds, everything. This was my one thing. Mom finally spoke, her voice thin but laced with that familiar manipulative edge. Emily, we need you. You can't just abandon your family for some selfish trip. We thought tearing the ticket would make you see reason. Reason. The word burned. I'd been reasonable my whole life, putting their needs above mine, swallowing my dreams to keep them afloat. And now this. The betrayal wasn't just the ticket. It was the deliberate choice to rip away the one thing I'd claimed for myself. My hands shook as I knelt to gather the pieces, each fragment a reminder of their disregard. I could have screamed, cried, or walked away, but something shifted in me, a spark of anger igniting into resolve. They thought they could control me, keep me tethered to their chaos. They were wrong. I stood, clutching the torn ticket, and met their eyes with a calm that unsettled them. You'll regret this, I said softly, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Then I turned and walked toward the airline counter, my mind already racing with a plan. The counter agent, a kind-faced woman named Maria, listened as I explained the situation, her brow furrowing at the sight of the shredded ticket. I'm so sorry, she said. We can reissue it, but it'll take a few hours to process, and there's a fee. I nodded, my resolve hardening. Do it. And one more thing. Can you check something for me? I leaned in, lowering my voice. I booked a group package for 3. Can I cancel the other 2 tickets without affecting mine? Maria's eyes widened slightly, but she caught the edge in my tone and didn't question it. She tapped at her computer, then nodded. Yes, you can cancel the other reservations. It's a non-refundable package, but since you're the primary booker, you have full control. Good, I said, a grim smile tugging at my lips. Cancel them. All of them. See, the Hawaii trip wasn't just mine. I'd booked a family package, 3 tickets, a shared resort stay, the works, because Mom and Lily had begged to come along. They'd framed it as a family bonding opportunity, but I knew better. They wanted the free vacation, the Instagram-worthy photos, the chance to play happy family while I footed the bill. I'd agreed, against my better judgment, because I thought maybe, just maybe, we could have something real. But they'd crossed a line, and I was done playing the martyr. As Maria processed the cancellations, I glanced back at Mom and Lily, who were watching from a distance, their confidence starting to crack. They had no idea what was coming. The package included their flights, their hotel rooms, their excursions, everything. And I just wiped it all out. They'd have no trip, no tropical getaway, no bragging rights. Just the consequences of their own actions. I thanked Maria and took my reissued ticket, the weight of it grounding me. But this was only the beginning. Canceling their vacation was a start, but I needed to make them feel the cost of their betrayal, to understand that I wasn't their doormat anymore. As I walked away from the counter, a plan began to form. Not just revenge, but reclamation. I was taking back my life. The terminal was a blur of faces and noise, but I felt sharper, more alive than I had in years. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Mom and Lily relied on my financial support, my savings, my credit cards, my endless generosity. That ended today. I froze the joint account we used for household expenses, the one they dipped into without asking. I canceled the auto payments for Lily's car and Mom's subscriptions. Every tie that kept me bound to their chaos, I severed with a tap. By the time I reached the gate, my phone was buzzing with their calls and texts. I ignored them. Let them panic. Let them feel what it's like to lose something they took for granted. I boarded the plane to Hawaii alone, the torn ticket's pieces still in my pocket, a reminder of what they'd tried to take from me, and what I'd refused to let them have. But as the plane climbed into the sky, doubt crept in. Had I gone too far? They were my family, flawed and selfish as they were. The guilt gnawed at me, whispering that I was the one tearing us apart. I closed my eyes, the hum of the engines drowning out the noise in my head. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about survival. I'd spent years carrying their weight, and now, for the first time, I was choosing myself. In Honolulu, the air was warm, fragrant with plumeria and possibility. I stepped off the plane, my heart still raw but lighter. The resort was everything I'd dreamed: golden beaches, turquoise waves, a world away from the suffocating demands of home. But as I checked in, alone in a room meant for three, the weight of what I'd done settled in. Canceling their trip was a victory, but it didn't erase the hurt. Not yet. I spent the first day exploring, letting the island's beauty soak into me. I hiked volcanic trails, swam in hidden coves, and ate fresh pineapple under swaying palms. Each moment was mine, untainted by their expectations. But at night, in the quiet of my room, their faces haunted me. Mom's tearful guilt, Lily's defiant sneer. I wondered what they were doing now, how they were coping without me. Were they sorry? Or just angry? The second day, I found a letter slipped under my door. It was from the resort staff, a confirmation of the canceled bookings for Diane and Lily Carter. A clerical error, they said, apologizing for any inconvenience. But the letter wasn't what caught my eye. It was the note scrawled on the back in Mom's shaky handwriting. Emily, please. We're sorry. We're here. Talk to us. They were here. In Hawaii. They'd found a way to follow me. My heart thudded as I stared at the note, Mom's familiar scrawl blurring in my vision. They were here, in Hawaii, chasing me down after everything they'd done. The resort's opulent lobby, with its open-air views of the Pacific, suddenly felt claustrophobic, as if their presence was already closing in. I crumpled the note and shoved it into my pocket, my mind racing. How had they managed it? I'd canceled their flights, their rooms, their entire package. Had they scraped together enough money for new tickets? Borrowed from someone? The thought of them scheming to follow me, to invade the one space I'd carved out for myself, reignited the anger I'd felt at the airport. This wasn't an apology, it was another attempt to control me, to guilt me into submission. I stepped onto the balcony, the ocean breeze cooling my flushed face. Below, tourists laughed and splashed in the pool, oblivious to the storm brewing in my chest. I needed to think. I could confront them, demand answers, but that would mean letting them back into my headspace. Or I could ignore them, let them stew in their own regret. But knowing Mom and Lily, they wouldn't give up easily. They'd find me, corner me, turn this trip into another battlefield. I decided to take control. I'd find them first on my terms. The resort was sprawling, but I knew their habits. Lily would be drawn to the trendy beachfront bar, Mom to the quiet garden areas where she could play the victim to anyone who'd listen. I slipped on sunglasses and a wide-brimmed hat, blending into the tourist crowd, and began my search. The bar was my first stop. Reggae music pulsed through the air, and I scanned the crowd for Lily's telltale blonde highlights. Sure enough, there she was, perched on a stool, flirting with a bartender who looked barely old enough to serve drinks. She was laughing, carefree, as if she hadn't just torn my life apart. I stayed in the shadows, watching. She wasn't alone. Mom sat at a nearby table, nursing a drink, her face drawn and anxious. They hadn't seen me yet. I approached quietly, my steps deliberate. Lily noticed me first, her smile freezing as our eyes met. "Emily," she said, her voice caught between surprise and defiance. Mom turned, her expression crumbling into a mix of relief and fear. "Oh, Emily, thank God. We've been looking everywhere for you." I crossed my arms, keeping my distance. "How did you get here?" Mom hesitated, glancing at Lily, who rolled her eyes. "We used my credit card," Lily said, tossing her hair. "Booked last-minute flights. You didn't think we'd just let you run off, did you?" "Your credit card?" I raised an eyebrow. Lily's card was maxed out months ago. I'd been the one covering her payments. "You mean my credit card? The one I let you use for emergencies?" Lily's face flushed, but she didn't back down. "Whatever. We're here now. You can't just ditch us, Em. We're family. Family doesn't shred each other's dreams." I shot back. "You tore up my ticket. You tried to sabotage me. And now you're here. What? To make me feel guilty? To drag me back into your mess?" Mom reached out, her hand trembling. "Emily, we were wrong. I know that. But we were scared. You're always the one who holds us together. Without you," her voice broke, but I wasn't swayed. I'd heard this script before. Tears, apologies, promises to change. They never lasted. "Scared," I said, my voice low and sharp. "You weren't scared. You were selfish. Both of you. I've given you everything, and you couldn't even let me have this one thing." Lily stood, her hands on her hips. "Oh, come on, Emily. Stop acting like a martyr. You love playing the hero. You chose to pay for everything. Nobody forced you." Her words hit like a slap. Was she right? Had I enabled their dependence, let them walk all over me because it was easier than standing up for myself? The doubt gnawed at me, but I pushed it down. This wasn't about my choices, it was about theirs. "I'm done," I said, my voice steady. "I'm done being your bank, your therapist, your punching bag. You want to be here? Fine. But you're on your own." I turned to leave, but Mom grabbed my arm. "Emily, please. We don't have anywhere to stay. The resort canceled our rooms, and we can't afford another place. We spent everything to get here." I froze, the weight of her words sinking in. They were stranded, broke, and expecting me to fix it. Part of me, the old Emily, wanted a cave, to book them a room, to smooth things over. But the new Emily, the one who'd boarded that plane alone, wasn't going back. "Then figure it out," I said, pulling my arm free. "You're adults. Act like it." I walked away, their protests fading behind me. The resort's lush paths wound through palm trees and hibiscus, but I barely noticed the beauty. My heart was a tangle of anger, guilt, and something new, freedom. For the first time, I wasn't carrying their weight. But the victory felt hollow. They were still my family, and walking away didn't erase the love I felt, even now. That night, I sat on my balcony, staring at the stars over the Pacific. My phone buzzed with texts from Lily, angry rants, then please, then silence. Mom sent a single message. "I'm sorry, Emily. I never meant to hurt you." I didn't reply. Instead, I booked a solo excursion for the next day, a sunrise hike to a volcanic crater. I needed space to think, to decide what came next. The hike was grueling, the trail steep and rocky, but the view from the top was worth it. The sun rose over a sea of clouds, painting the sky in hues of gold and pink. I felt small but powerful, like I could finally breathe. Up here, their betrayal seemed distant, manageable. I wasn't just punishing them, I was reclaiming myself. But the question lingered. Could we ever rebuild what they'd broken? By the time I returned to the resort, I'd made a decision. I wouldn't shut them out forever, but I wouldn't let them back in without change. They needed to prove they could respect me, not just as their provider, but as a person. I drafted a message to them, my fingers hesitating over the screen. "I need space. If you want to talk, it's on my terms. Meet me at the resort cafe tomorrow at noon. No excuses." I hit send and leaned back, the ocean's rhythm calming my nerves. Tomorrow would be a reckoning, not just for them, but for me. I was ready to face whatever came next. The resort cafe buzzed with the clink of coffee cups and the murmur of tourists, but my focus was razor-sharp as I waited at a corner table. Noon came and went. Mom and Lily were late, as usual. I sipped my iced coffee, the bitterness mirroring my mood. I'd set the terms, my terms, for the first time, and they couldn't even respect that. At 12:15, they appeared, weaving through the crowded patio. Mom looked haggard, her eyes red-rimmed, her sundress wrinkled. Lily, in contrast, was polished, her makeup flawless despite the humidity. They sat across from me, Mom fidgeting, Lily leaning back with a guarded expression. The air between us crackled with unspoken tension. "I didn't think you'd show," I said, breaking the silence. Mom's face crumpled. "Emily, we're trying. We're here, aren't we?" Lily snorted, crossing her arms. "Yeah, no thanks to you. You left us high and dry, Em. We're sleeping in a cheap motel off the strip because of you." I leaned forward, my voice low. "You're here because you chased me. You tore up my ticket, Lily. You made this mess. Don't act like I owe you a 5-star resort." Lily's eyes flashed, but Mom cut in, her voice pleading. "Enough, both of you. Emily, we made a mistake. A terrible one. But we're family. We can fix this." "Fix it," I echoed, my chest tightening. "You think an apology erases years of taking me for granted? I've been your safety net forever, and the one time I choose myself, you sabotage me." Mom's eyes filled with tears, but Lily leaned forward, her voice sharp. "You're not perfect, Emily. You act like you're above us, like we're just leeches. But you love being needed. It's who you are." Her words stung, slicing into the doubts I'd buried. Was I complicit in this dynamic? Had I let them depend on me because it gave me purpose? I pushed the thought aside, focusing on the moment. "Maybe I did," I admitted. "But that stops now. If you want to be in my life, you need to respect me. No more games, no more guilt trips." Mom nodded quickly, eager to please. "We will, Emily. I promise. Just don't shut us out." Lily said nothing, her jaw tight. I could see the wheels turning in her head, calculating her next move. She wasn't ready to let go of her pride, and that was fine. I wasn't here to beg for their change. I was here to demand it. "I'm setting boundaries," I said, my voice firm. "I'll help you get home, but that's it. No more handouts. No more covering your bills. You figure out your lives, and maybe we can start over." Mom's face fell, but she nodded. Lily, though, laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "You think you can just cut us off? Good luck with that, Em. You'll come running back when we need you. You always do." I stood, my chair scraping against the tile. "Not this time." I walked away, their stunned silence trailing behind me. My heart pounded, but I felt lighter, like I'd finally shed a weight I'd carried too long. The rest of the day, I threw myself into the island. I kayaked through turquoise waters, laughed with strangers on a snorkeling tour, and let the sun warm the ache in my chest. But Lily's words lingered, taunting me. Was I strong enough to hold my ground? Or would I slip back into old habits the moment they called? That evening, I found another note under my door. This time, it was from Lily, her handwriting sharp and angry. "You're not the only one who can play hardball. Watch your back." The threat sent a chill through me, but I refused to let it take root. Lily was lashing out, desperate to regain control. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction. The next morning, I woke to a text from Mom. "Lily's gone. She left the motel last night. I don't know where she is. Please help." Panic gripped me, but I forced it down. This was classic Lily, running off, creating chaos to pull me back in. I called Mom, my voice steady despite the knot in my stomach. "Where did she go?" I asked. "I don't know," Mom sobbed. "She was angry after the cafe. Said she'd make you regret it. I'm scared, Emily." I closed my eyes, the weight of responsibility creeping back. But I wasn't their fixer anymore. "Mom, call the police if you're worried. I'm not chasing her. Not this time." The words felt like betrayal, but they were necessary. I hung up, my hands trembling. For the rest of the day, I tried to focus on the island, its beaches, its trails, its vibrant life, but worry gnawed at me. What if Lily was in real trouble? What if I'd pushed her too far? By evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I called a local contact I'd made on a tour, a guide named Kai who knew the island well. "Can you help me find someone?" I asked, explaining the situation. Kai agreed, his voice calm and reassuring. We spent hours checking hostels, bars, and beaches where Lily might have gone. No sign of her. As night fell, Kai drove me back to the resort. "She'll turn up," he said, his eyes kind. People like her always do. They thrive on the drama. I nodded, grateful for his perspective. But as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. Lily wasn't just running. She was planning something. And I had to be ready. The next day, I woke to a voicemail from an unknown number. Lily's voice, low and venomous. "You think you're free, Em? You're not. I'm coming for you." The message ended with a laugh that sent a shiver down my spine. I saved it, my resolve hardening. If Lily wanted a fight, I'd give her one, but on my terms, not hers. Lily's voicemail played on a loop in my mind, her laugh sharp as a blade. I sat on the edge of my bed, the resort's tropical hum a stark contrast to the dread pooling in my chest. She wasn't just angry. She was plotting, and I needed to stay one step ahead. I called Kai again, filling him in on the message. "Sounds like she's trying to scare you," he said, his voice steady over the phone. "But I know people on the island. I'll ask around, see if anyone's seen her." "Thank you," I said, relief mixing with unease. I didn't want to drag Kai into this, but I needed allies. Lily's unpredictability was a wild card, and Mom's silence since her last text wasn't reassuring either. I checked my phone again, no new messages. Just the weight of Lily's threat hanging over me. I decided to stick to public places, avoiding the isolation of my room. The resort's beachfront was crowded with families and couples, their laughter a reminder of the normalcy I craved. I found a spot near the water, my eyes scanning the crowd for Lily's familiar silhouette. Every blonde head made my pulse spike, but she wasn't there. Not yet. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in fiery hues, Kai called back. "Found something," he said. "A bartender at a dive bar in Waikiki saw a woman matching Lily's description last night. She was with some rough-looking guys, talking about teaching someone a lesson." "Sound like her?" My stomach dropped. "Yeah, that's her." I hesitated, then added, "Can you keep looking? I need to know what she's planning." "On it," Kai said. "Stay safe, Emily. Don't let her get in your head." Easier said than done. I spent the evening on edge, jumping at every shadow. When I finally returned to my room, I double-checked the locks and wedged a chair under the door. Sleep came in fits, haunted by visions of Lily's sneer. The next morning, I woke to a knock. My heart raced as I crept to the door, peering through the peephole. It was Mom, alone, her face pale and drawn. I opened the door, keeping my guard up. "Emily," she said, her voice trembling. "Lily's in trouble. She called me last night, drunk, saying she's with people she doesn't trust. She wouldn't tell me where." I crossed my arms, skepticism warring with concern. "And you expect me to fix it? After everything?" Mom's eyes welled up. "I know we've hurt you. I know I've failed you. But she's your sister. Please." The plea hit hard, stirring the old instinct to protect, to save. But I wasn't that Emily anymore. "Mom, I can't keep cleaning up her messes. If she's in trouble, she needs to call the police. Or you do it." Mom shook her head, tears spilling. "She won't listen to me. She's out of control, Emily. I'm scared she'll hurt herself, or you." The mention of me sent a chill through me. Lily's voicemail flashed in my mind, her laugh echoing. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "I'll help find her, but not for her. For you. And then we're done." Mom nodded, relief flooding her face. I called Kai, who agreed to meet us at the dive bar where Lily was last seen. We drove in silence, the island's beauty a cruel backdrop to our fractured family. The bar was a grimy hole in the wall, its neon sign flickering in the daylight. Inside, the air was thick with stale beer and regret. The bartender, a burly man with a shaved head, recognized Lily from Kai's description. "Yeah, she was here," he said, wiping down the counter. "Left with a couple of locals last night. Shady types. Heard them talking about some deal, something about a message. Didn't sound good." My blood ran cold. "Did she say where she was going?" He shook his head. "Didn't say much. Just kept talking about her sister, how she'd show her." "You heard?" I nodded, my throat tight. Kai stepped in, his voice calm but firm. "Any idea where those guys hang out?" The bartender shrugged. "Try the old warehouse district. They're always there, stirring up trouble." Kai drove us to the district, a maze of abandoned buildings and rusted shipping containers. The air was heavy, the silence oppressive. We split up to cover more ground, Mom staying close to Kai while I ventured deeper, my phone clutched like a lifeline. Every creak and shadow set my nerves on edge, but I kept moving, driven by a mix of fear and determination. Then I saw her, Lily, leaning against a graffiti-covered wall, talking to two men in worn jackets. She looked disheveled, her eyes wild, but unharmed. I ducked behind a crate, watching. One of the men handed her something, a small bag. Drugs? Money? I couldn't tell, but the sight twisted my gut. I texted Kai our location, my fingers trembling. As I waited, Lily's voice carried, sharp and bitter. "She thinks she's better than me," she said, her words slurring slightly. "But I'll show her. She'll come crawling back." The men laughed, their voices low and menacing. I wanted to confront her, to drag her away, but I held back. This wasn't my fight anymore. Kai arrived with Mom, and we watched from the shadows as Lily and the men disappeared into a warehouse. Kai called the police, his voice low to avoid detection. Minutes later, sirens wailed in the distance. Lily and the men emerged, startled, as police cars pulled up. Lily's eyes widened, her bravado crumbling as an officer approached her. I stepped out, unable to stay hidden any longer. "Lily," I called, my voice steady despite the chaos. She turned, her face a mix of shock and defiance. "Emily," she said, her voice cracking. "What are you doing here?" "Saving you," I said, the words heavy with irony. "But this is the last time." The police took her into custody, along with the two men. Mom sobbed, clinging to me, but I felt numb. Lily wasn't hurt, but she'd crossed a line I couldn't ignore. As we left the warehouse district, the weight of my family's chaos pressed down, but so did a flicker of hope. Maybe this was rock bottom. Maybe now, things could change. The police station was a stark contrast to Hawaii's vibrant beaches, fluorescent lights, cold metal chairs, and the faint smell of disinfectant. Lily sat across from me in an interrogation room, her hands cuffed to the table, her eyes avoiding mine. Mom was outside, giving her statement, while I faced my sister alone, the weight of years between us. "You didn't have to call the cops," Lily muttered, her voice low and sullen. "You didn't leave me much choice," I said, leaning back in the chair. "What were you doing with those guys, Lily? Drugs? Some stupid revenge plot?" She laughed, a hollow sound. "You think you know me, Em? You don't. I was just trying to feel something. Anything." Her words hit harder than I expected. For all her bravado, Lily looked small, broken. I wanted to reach out, to fix her like I always had, but I held back. "You tore my ticket," I said instead. "You followed me here. You threatened me." "What?" Lily's eyes flickered with something. Guilt, maybe, or shame. "Because you were leaving me," she said, her voice barely audible. "You're the one who always stays, Em. When you booked that trip, it felt like you were abandoning us." I panicked. I stared at her, the pieces clicking into place. Lily wasn't just selfish, she was scared. Scared of losing the one constant in her chaotic life. But that didn't excuse her actions, and it didn't erase the hurt. "I'm not your crutch anymore," I said, my voice steady. "You need to figure out your own life, Lily. I can't keep saving you." She looked away, her jaw tight. "Fine. Walk away. See if I care." But she did care. I could see it in the way her hands trembled, the way her eyes darted to mine and then away. For the first time, I saw my sister not as a problem to solve, but as a person, flawed, scared, and desperate for something to hold on to. The police released her with a warning, no charges, since they hadn't found anything concrete on her or the men. But the encounter had shaken her, and she followed me out of the station in silence, Mom trailing behind. We stood in the parking lot, the tropical night heavy around us. "What now?" Mom asked, her voice fragile. I took a deep breath, the weight of my decision pressing down. "You two go home. I'll pay for the tickets, but that's it. I'm staying here to finish my trip. Alone." Mom nodded, tears streaming down her face. Lily said nothing, her expression unreadable. I drove them to their motel, the silence between us deafening. As they packed, I booked their flights, my fingers hesitating over the confirm button. This was it, the final cut. I hit send, and a weight lifted, even as my heart ached. The next morning, I saw them off at the airport. Mom hugged me, her grip desperate. "I'm so sorry, Emily," she whispered. "I'll make this right. I promise." Lily didn't hug me. She just looked at me, her eyes raw. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she said finally. I don't know how to do this without you." "You'll learn," I said, my voice softer than I intended. "You both will." As their plane took off, I felt a strange mix of relief and loss. They were gone, but the wounds they'd left lingered. I returned to the resort, determined to reclaim my trip. The next few days were a blur of sun and sea, each moment a small victory. I hiked, swam, and laughed with strangers, letting the island heal me. But at night, alone, I couldn't escape the questions. Could we rebuild? Did I even want to? On my last day, I sat on the beach, watching the waves crash. My phone buzzed, a text from Lily. No words, just a photo. Her and Mom at home, sitting on our old couch, a tentative smile on Mom's face. Lily's expression was guarded, but there was something new in her eyes. Hope, maybe, or an attempt at it. I didn't reply, not yet. I needed time to process, to decide what family meant to me now. But as I watched the sun set, its colors bleeding into the horizon, I felt a spark of possibility. Not forgiveness, not yet, but a chance for something new. Back home, I'd face them again. We'd talk, set boundaries, maybe even heal. But for now, I let the ocean carry my doubts away, trusting that I'd find my way, alone or with them, but always on my terms. The plane ride home was quiet, the hum of the engines a steady backdrop to my swirling thoughts. Hawaii had been everything I'd hoped: freedom, beauty, a chance to breathe. But it had also been a battlefield, forcing me to confront the fractured ties of my family. As the mainland came into view, I braced myself for what awaited. Mom and Lily, our shared history, and the uncertain path ahead. Back at my apartment, the air felt stale, heavy with the ghosts of old arguments. I'd half expected them to be waiting at my door, ready with apologies or accusations, but the place was empty. I dropped my suitcase and checked my phone. No new messages, just the photo Lily had sent from home, their faces a silent plea for reconciliation. I wasn't ready to respond, not yet. The next morning, I woke to a knock. Mom stood in the hallway, her eyes tired but hopeful, a bakery bag in her hand. "I brought your favorite," she said, holding up a cinnamon roll. "Can we talk?" I let her in, the familiar scent of sugar and spice softening my guard. We sat at my small kitchen table, the silence stretching until she spoke. "I've been thinking a lot, Emily. About what we did, how we've treated you. I was wrong, we were wrong. I leaned on you too much, and I let Lily do the same." Her honesty caught me off guard. Mom wasn't one for self-reflection. She preferred tears and deflections. "Why now?" I asked, my voice cautious. "What's changed?" She looked down, her fingers twisting the bag's paper handle. "Seeing you in Hawaii, standing up for yourself, it scared me. But it also made me proud. You're stronger than I ever was, Emily. I don't want to lose you." Her words stirred something in me. Hope, maybe, or the ghost of the love we'd once had. But I wasn't ready to let her off the hook. "You hurt me, Mom. Both of you. I need more than words." She nodded, tears brimming. "I know. I'm trying. I've signed up for a budgeting class, and I'm looking for part-time work. I want to stand on my own, so you don't have to carry me anymore." I studied her, searching for the usual manipulation, but her eyes were clear, earnest. It was a start, but trust would take time. "And Lily?" I asked. Mom sighed. "She's struggling. She's angry. At herself. At you, at the world. But she's talking to a counselor. I think Hawaii was a wake-up call for her, too." I leaned back, processing. A counselor was new. Lily had always resisted help, preferring chaos to accountability. If she was trying, maybe there was hope. But I wasn't ready to see her yet. The wounds were too fresh, her threat too recent. "I'll talk to her when I'm ready," I said. "But I need space, Mom. And I need you both to respect that." She nodded, reaching for my hand. I let her take it, her touch warm and familiar. "We will," she said. "I promise." After she left, I felt lighter, but the weight of our history lingered. I spent the day unpacking, sorting through memories as much as souvenirs. The torn ticket, still in my pocket, was a reminder of what I'd fought for and what I'd won. I tucked it into a drawer, not ready to throw it away, but unwilling to let it define me. That evening, I got a call from an unknown number. My heart sank, expecting Lily's voice, but it was Kai. "Just checking in," he said, his voice warm. "How's it going back home?" I smiled, grateful for the unexpected anchor. "It's complicated, but I'm okay. Thanks for everything in Hawaii." "Anytime," he said. "You're tougher than you think, Emily. Don't forget that." His words stayed with me as I settled into the routine of my life. Work, errands, the quiet moments where I could finally breathe. Over the next few weeks, Mom kept her promise, texting sparingly, updating me on her job search and budgeting progress. Lily was silent, but Mom said she was sticking with counseling, working through her anger. One evening, I found a letter in my mailbox, Lily's handwriting on the envelope. My stomach knotted, but I opened it. Her words were raw, unpolished. "I'm sorry, Em. I was jealous, scared, stupid. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I'm trying to be better. I hope you'll give me a chance someday." I read it twice, then set it aside. Forgiveness wasn't immediate, but her effort meant something. For the first time, I saw a path forward, not the family we'd been, but something new, built on respect instead of obligation. As I looked out my window at the city lights, I felt a quiet strength. Hawaii had changed me, not just because of the beaches or the sun, but because I'd chosen myself. And no matter what came next, I knew I could face it on my terms. Weeks turned into months, and the raw edges of Hawaii began to soften, though the lessons lingered. My apartment, once a battleground of family demands, became a sanctuary filled with small reminders of my reclaimed independence. A Hawaiian seashell on my desk, a photo of me smiling on a volcanic trail. Mom's efforts continued, steady if imperfect. She'd landed a part-time job at a local bookstore, her texts filled with pride at her small paychecks. Lily, though, remained a question mark, her letter unanswered in my drawer. One crisp fall morning, I agreed to meet Mom for coffee at a cozy shop near my apartment. She arrived early, a rarity, her face brighter than I'd seen in years. "I paid my phone bill this month," she said, sliding into the booth. "All by myself." I smiled, genuine warmth breaking through my caution. "That's huge, Mom. I'm proud of you." She beamed, then hesitated, her fingers tracing the rim of her cup. "Lily wants to see you. She's been asking, but I told her it's your call." I nodded, my chest tightening. I'd been avoiding this moment, unsure if I was ready to face Lily's volatility again. But Mom's progress, her willingness to change, made me wonder if Lily could, too. "I'll think about it," I said. No promises. That afternoon, I pulled out Lily's letter, rereading her words. They weren't polished, but they were honest, a rarity for her. I texted her, keeping it simple. "Meet me at the park tomorrow, 3 p.m. We can talk." The park was quiet, the leaves crunching underfoot as I waited on a bench. Lily arrived on time, another surprise, her hands stuffed in her jacket pockets. She looked different, less defiant, more uncertain. "Hey," she said, sitting beside me. "Hey," I replied, studying her. The anger that had defined her in Hawaii was gone, replaced by something softer, almost fragile. "I don't know where to start," she said, her voice low. "I messed up, Em. Big time. I was jealous. Yeah, but it was more than that. I was scared you'd leave us for good, and I lashed out." I stayed silent, letting her continue. She took a shaky breath. "Counseling's helping. I'm starting to see how much I leaned on you, how unfair that was. I don't expect you to trust me right away, but I want to try. For real." Her words echoed Mom's, but they carried a different weight, raw, unpracticed, like she was navigating new terrain. I wanted to believe her, but trust was a fragile thing. "Why should I believe you'll change?" I asked, my voice steady but not unkind. Lily looked down, her fingers twisting a loose thread on her sleeve. "You don't have to, but I'm working on it. I got a job, nothing fancy, just retail, but it's mine. I'm trying to stand on my own, like you did." I nodded, processing. A job, counseling, an apology, these were steps, not guarantees. But they were more than I'd expected. "I'm not ready to go back to how things were," I said, "but I'm willing to try something new. Small steps." Her face lit up, A flicker of the old Lily, but tempered by something new. Hope, maybe, or gratitude. Small steps, she agreed. We talked for an hour, not about Hawaii or the ticket, but about small things, her job, my work, the way the park's trees glowed in the autumn light. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a start. As we parted, she hugged me, quick and awkward, and I let her. Over the next few months, we rebuilt slowly. Mom kept her job, even started a savings account. Lily showed up to coffee dates, shared stories of her counseling sessions, and paid for her own drinks. They weren't perfect, and neither was I. There were arguments, missteps, moments when old patterns threatened to resurface. But we talked through them, setting boundaries, holding each other accountable. One evening, as winter settled in, I invited them to my apartment for dinner. It was simple: pasta, salad, a bottle of wine, but it felt monumental. We laughed, shared stories, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel like their caretaker. I felt like their equal. As they left, Lily paused at the door, her eyes meeting mine. "Thanks for giving me a chance, Em," she said. "I won't let you down." I smiled, the weight of Hawaii finally lifting. "Just keep showing up, Lily. That's enough." Later, alone, I pulled out the torn ticket from my drawer. It was just paper now, a relic of a battle I'd won, not against them, but for myself. I tossed it into the trash, ready to move forward. We weren't the family we'd been, but we were something new, something better. And for the first time, I believed we could make it.